Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. January 3rd, 2017, ushering in the new year. All of the young adults, get your book, start reading, start understanding life, what life is all about. Understand what's important and what's not important. So you don't have to lose your life behind something that's trivial, like a pair of tennis shoes. Or unless you're telling the world that in your mind, $250 is a substantial amount of money. And if you believe that, all you're doing is just showing to the world that you haven't been cultivated. Someone hasn't taught you what the value of life is, or you haven't educated yourself to take someone's life for $250 or to have your life taken behind $250. Especially over a pair of tennis shoes that's made in another country, probably for $10, and they make a huge profit. But or unless you're saying that you put your value in a material item, which is idolatry. You worship these shoes called Jordan, which Michael Jordan has stock in the prison system. He making money all kind of ways. Put the shoes on your feet. He gonna make money off the shoes. He gonna make money off the prison. I mean, in Trump world, that's a smart businessman. He making money hand over fist 2 times over. And both both industries are connected because we didn't create the gang culture. That was created before Al Capone. We're just following an old history of what we thought or who taught us how to be Americans. Because you got to remember, couldn't read or write, didn't know what this American thing was, didn't understand the definitions of how they interacted with each other with the words that they chose to use. We had to pick it up either by what we saw or what we heard. And then sometimes we had to make our own assessment of it. Well, you have to do this because it's our survival. If you go on this side of the road, I noticed that they won't bother you. But if you go on the right side of the road, I notice they bother you. So we'll go on the left side of the road, and then when it's time for us to get near our destination, we'll cross over 15 feet before we get to the destination. That way they can't detect the fact that we know something about them, because if they find out, they'll switch it up and keep us guessing. So we gotta keep it quiet in a sense, but also we have to observe what's going on. Which reminds me of a hidden rule that the slave master and their children had. At nighttime, if you approach someone in the dark without identifying yourself, start shooting. They would shoot to kill. In black people's, how we would do it, if you come up at nighttime, we can sense your spirit. We can sense your energy and tell if you are hostile or friendly. We went off the energy, the frequency of a person. They went off strictly, you didn't identify yourself at dark. Coming up to my house, so I started shooting. two different, we looking at the same thing two different ways. That's why people were saying no, separate but equal. Because we're not going to figure out all of the nuances of how to behave or behavioral life or what people expect out of you or what they believe in versus what you believe in. We didn't have the time to catch all of the do's and don'ts within European society or what they call American society or white society. They would say, well, you can't do this. See, a lot of black people took on the slave masters' way of viewing black people, and they started viewing black people the same way. Now, example, slave masters teaching, if you had one drop of black blood, you was black, and don't be the first to come up under my roof on New Year's Day, because the slave master felt that you'd give him bad luck for the whole year and his crops wouldn't grow. Black folks took it and twisted it. Well, I'm gonna be the white person now. Don't no dark-skinned black person come through my door, the first person on the first of the year, because they gonna give me bad luck. And in turn, what happened was you following the slave master against your own self and don't know it because it didn't work for you, because you had bad luck, because you was in a bad position or in a bad situation. So you was bad luck anyway, if you believe in the luck thing. So we don't want to get caught up into it. We got to shed all of that in today's time. They can have it. They can have the superstition that they had. They can have the paganism. They can have the Santa Claus. They can have the evergreen trees. They can have mayonnaise sandwiches. They can have whatever and if they proud of it, that's good for them. That's their business. Enjoy life. Have fun with it. But I guess I'm saying this to say that we have to find our own identity and stop trying to force ourselves on the identity of other cultures that they created for their purpose or out of a situation where there was a need to be or have that a certain way, and they just carried it on to the new world with them. We wasn't in that situation to have to create out of certain circumstances. That's why certain things that was done was strange to us, because the climate in the area where we come from, we did things a certain way for our survival. So you look out of place when you do things out of someone else's, or you doing things out of a reason that you know not of why it was even created. You just following, or you going along to get along, because it's saying that you don't want to take the time to study why this thing originated in order for it to be the way it is in the present time. We'll put it like that. And so what's happening is you blinded and you're walking in the dark. You seeking something, but you don't know what you're seeking or why it's even done a certain way, because it wasn't part of your culture. So take more time now to be versatile it's good to learn other cultures. That way you can deal with, and it's like a subtle language. Don't do this when you go to, because this is their belief, and it shows a sense of respect. And the reason why that they did certain things is, okay, well, let's say, because their ancestors were raised in the caves, so they had to have dogs around them 24/7. That's why dogs they consider dog a man's best friend. It warned them of the beast that was coming. It protected them or whatnot, and other things dogs did when they were out hunting for food. So dogs became man's best friend, but not God's best friend, but man's best friend. So, okay, cool. Now that's versatile, and okay, we deal on that. Since the dog is so sacred to you, we let you have your dog. It's not personal. Cool. But then you got to understand our culture and way of life and respect that. And if you don't, now we got a problem. Because now we getting back into the free man, the serf, and the slave. Because if you don't, then that means you're going to eventually treat me like a slave if you don't respect my culture. Because if you come into rule and you already have systems in place of not a caste system, but a social system, a social caste system, we could say, from free man, serf, and slave. So if you don't respect my culture and even understand my culture, you might automatically relegate me to a slave status and then try to treat me like a slave. Now, if I bow down to that, then okay. But if I see myself as a God, I'm going to say, hey, wait a minute. Who you talking to? Because what's next after slave? Nothing. Then you start getting into a reptilian mindset. You start becoming like the beast of the field. So we don't want to be a part of that or reduce ourselves to being treated other than ourselves. And then you have to know yourself, who you are, so you can know what not to be treated like. If you don't know yourself, then they'll treat you any kind of way, talk to you any kind of way, disrespect you, start putting their assumptions on you and expect you to behave and be like what they assume you are. They want you to really act that way, They might say, well, all black people like to tap dance. So when they see you, they want to see a tap dance show. And in your mind, that's because they going after probably one that they done relegated to a slave mind, and they want to paint all black people with a broad brush, but then they run into those who was like, I put these tap dance size 12 up your behind. You come at me again talking about tap dance. And they like, whoa, well, what tribe are you from? Because I ran across a whole bunch that didn't mind tap dancing. Well, everybody's beliefs are not the same. Everyone's beliefs are not the same. I don't believe in tap dancing. But you may have those that do. Okay, well, whatever fate that comes from tap dancing, and I'm not talking about the when I'm using the term tap dancing, I mean bowing down. That's the old colloquial term, tap dance, because meaning you, instead of just approaching the situation head on, they would say you tap dancing around the situation. You don't want to deal with the issue at hand because it may be too painful to deal with. So, you might, deal with it a little bit over here, and then you change it up over here, and because sometimes you're afraid, or sometimes you just don't want the problems of it, because you may feel like it's too heavy to take it on head on at this point, or you may feel you never want to deal with it straight up. I don't know. That's the individual call. Me personally, I feel like life is better when you deal with problem, the situation head on. You deal with it, get it out the way, move on to the next, where you don't have it lingering over your head for a specific amount of time. Personally, hey, that's life. But we don't tap dance at the sake of another man, because if you take a person who wasn't the creator of civilization, put you beneath them, then they're gonna put you beneath or put you at the lowest social caste that they could find for you, and the lowest was the slave. Then just a little bit above the slave was the serf, and not too much further above the serf was the free man. And the free man, the difference was he worked for the Lord, but he could own land and have wealth. But also the serf could, but he wasn't. The serf wasn't the master of his own destiny. The free man wasn't really the master of his own destiny, because he was up under the Lord, but he could buy land and he could have as much wealth as he wanted, and he could move throughout the kingdom as he pleased, but he was never above the Lord, or the man that they call, you say Lord King James, or Lord this, Lord that, and that's where they get that from. My Lord, meaning then that was the king, or the one that held the highest post, so he was the Lord. Some say feudal Lord, and because they were always feuding with each other, but the free man was under the king. In our society, where we say the black man is God, then we all share and build on this planet. No one was above you. That's why when you hear the minister say the best name or best you can associate him or call him by was brother. I mean, that's why you would always hear Brother Farrakhan saying, I'm your brother. I'm your brother. So that means how you see your brother, if you grew up in a loving home and you loved your brother, and how you see your brother, and how y'all would, sometimes your brother would get on you, or y'all would play around, or that's your brother. Same thing. That's your brother. Treat him as a brother. Treat each other as a brother. That's why we say brother this, brother that, brother this, simply because out of respect. You know what I mean? Out of respect for one another. Not brother because I'm looking for something from you. You know what I mean? I'm expecting you to do for me what God granted me gifts to do for myself. Then you become a user then, because you don't want to take the gifts that God gave you to build up your own self. You want to turn to someone else and have them build it for you, and that's not reality. That's not a brotherhood. But a brotherhood will help in areas to enhance one's gift, because I want for my brother what I want for myself. So if I want, I do things because I want to see you successful. And then in return, you do things to want to see someone else successful. So when you see an opportunity for whatever direction I'm trying to grow, you help build it. I see an opportunity to where you want to grow, then wherever I can, I'll help build that. And then that's what it is. So under a new system of that we were forced up under, they had some strange cultural ways, man, that we had, and we still trying to figure out today why'd you do this, or what was that about? Because in our mindset, in our genetic code, in our DNA, when we're in our right mind, we find that to be appalling. Probably some things was disgusting. Some things didn't make sense. Some things we couldn't explain. Why would any human do some of the things that we saw being done up under their rulership during slave time? But they could have had a perfectly logical explanation. They didn't share it with us though, so we had to come to our own conclusion. Then that's why you see the reason why you have a lot of brothers talking about the Bible right now. And this one brother, he was an ex-pastor, and he's saying, man, don't believe nothing in the Bible. He's saying, man, it was all full of lies and whatnot. I explained that in just about 15 seconds. And the reason being is I got to stop and pay the toll on the freeway. This live radio. And agree. Hey, good morning, how you doing? All right, thanks a lot. Yo, we back at it. And you see a lot of these brothers, man. A lot of pastors coming out. You seen the New Era Detroit, saying pastor saying something wrong with this book. But the Army Elijah Muhammad told you years ago, we believe in the truths in the Bible, but we also believe that the Bible has been tampered with, and it takes someone to go in and set it back to where it needs to be. See? So now people are saying, wait a minute. You trying to tell me that if I'm cold, I gotta give my master my coat? You trying to tell me I'm created by God, but I'm allowed another man to smack me on the other cheek, and I'm supposed to turn it and give him the other one? You know, it didn't make sense, but there's reasoning behind that. For one, it's to make a slave stay a slave. And that's why, in reality, and we'll use Dylan Root as a test subject. Dylan Root was a young white 19-year-old sociopath. But he's not the only young white sociopath. Because some of the things that were created coming out of, let's say, the caves in the hillsides of Europe, the Caucasus Mountains, let's say certain behaviors, or maybe they had to be a sociopath to survive in that condition. And it spread it throughout. Because you have to be a sociopath to go inside to first premeditate. You ready to start a race war. You plan it. You go out doing target practice because in your mind, you on a real live mission. You go to the church. They let you in. You sit. You pray. You wait till everything is over. Let them do their praying. And because he knows now. He knows all about the Bible. And meaning he couldn't give you any Bible scripture or quotes. But he know who wrote it. He know the intentions of it. So he didn't feel any threat because he know that they only gave us Christianity to keep us slaves. So he comes in and he's sitting there, he praying, he like, in his mind, this came from us. We taught you slavery. We taught you Christianity during slavery. So he sits at the table because people were saying, well, how can he even go sit down and pray and reading the book and with the pastor? Because he's not looking at it the way you're looking at it. He's looking at it through the eyes of my ancestors. His ancestors gave you a religion to make you a better slave, not to free you. So he's sitting there like, yeah, whatever. After it's over, he took out his gun. Because it was the same thing back in the day, slavery times. Slave master be right there in the church, watching what the preacher would preach, and then an hour later something happened, he pull out the whip and go to work. And people would say, how you gonna sit up in church? Ain't nothing but the devil gonna sit in church with God's word now, and then an hour later he gonna inflict pain on somebody. There ain't nothing but the devil. Same thing. So he shoots the people. Psychopath. Shoots his son, trying to protect his mother. But now this is where I blame our therapist, because why hold these degrees and these titles if you're not going to teach the people right? What's the purpose of that? Why hold the degrees? Why hold the titles if you're not going to teach them right? If you're not going to teach them about, now, those who teach post-traumatic slavery disorder, that's good. That's a help. That's a start. Now you got to move on to how to deal with sociopaths and make sure that whatever method that it says you should do, you do it. Because if you're afraid to deal with a sociopath, then you only emboldening the sociopath. And Dylan Root was a test study. He's a case study. Here's a young sociopath that didn't give 1 ounce of black life. Then the police treated him as a subtly not hero, but they gave him a nod in the sense that, hey, we understand. And they fed him. They understood the cause. What they're saying is, you are old soul reincarnated. And so, we'll protect you as much as we can within the confines of the law. That goes back to Michael Brown, Ferguson, Missouri. Rioting took place. Shots were burned. So now, January 1st, in Missouri, you can be 19 years old and you can legally carry a firearm without even having to take any training or any concealed handgun licenses, classes, or whatever. If you have a driver license that proves that you're 19, you can buy a gun and start carrying a gun legally without having to go to the gun range, without any target practice. They don't even check to see if the gun you got will even fire. Is the sight straight? Is the barrel crooked? They don't go if you could get a gun. And I'm asking myself, why would they pass a law like that? because it's like open season. Like they just passed along catfish, right? Catfish, they said now you can start catching catfish with pitchforks, knives, spears, whatever. I guess it's overpopulated of catfish, so they pass along whatever you can get a catfish with is legal now. You use pitchfork, just stick it in there and grab it. Because why did they have laws on catfish in the beginning prior to these new laws? Because catfish or anything that breed and that was living, it was a humane way to catch them for food. Or the best way to explain it is look up the practices that that Jews or Muslims do for halal, or the Jews in their what is the term for that? Kosher, or kosher practice or halal practice, which is very similar. So, though that was the law on killing animals or catching fish or what to eat, what not to eat, even though catfish is a scavenger fish, just allows over certain ways you catch the catfish. Now it's whatever you can do, just get the catfish, because I assume the catfish are overpopulating, and so we need to get rid of them. Now in Missouri, 19 years old, any race, anybody, you can get a gun. Now, the difference with that is, okay, let's take that back to the woman at the Waffle House who was suing the Waffle House, but a female was working at a Waffle House. The Waffle House had got robbed, and she went out to her car, got the gun, fired the gun in the air, and they fired her. Because in their system, by you firing a warning shot, you putting other lives in danger. So she didn't know the law. Now, if you carrying this gun and you don't know the law, but the person that's going up against you knows the law and trusts in the law, and that's a big factor. We don't really trust in the law because they never gave us justice. But they trust in the law. They know that if I discharge this firearm and I say I meant to aim center mass and to stop a potential threat that could harm me or kill me, he knows he's going home. They're not going to share that with the black youth. You could have been justified in discharging your weapon, shooting somebody. But when the police officer comes and asks you, I need your statement on what took place, and you say, the guy was approaching me and I shot him, you're going to jail. That's not good enough. The guy was approaching me that I believe was the intent to cause bodily harm because I said stop. He didn't stop. He was acting overly aggressively, and I shot center mass for my protection. Now you got something to stand on. But if you just say he came up on me and I shot him, that's not gonna cut it at all. God damn, dude. Man, driving on these roads, bro, is wild. But yeah, that's the gist of it. You gotta know where you at and what you're doing. You know what I mean? That's what's up. So, look, Verbal Pick Radio 2017, man. Y'all check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Now, those of you that's on Monday night open mic, we getting ready to turn. Well, put it like this. We're in the process. We discussing turning Monday night open mic, which is a Facebook group that's dealing with the music industry. But we getting ready to find some way to combine Monday night open mic with Verbal Pick Radio. I'm sitting down discussing with Low Key, talk with the Chill Factor, LeRae and Promotions, and see how we can make this thing happen, and keeping the same energy and the same flow that's already going on with Monday night open mic, and combining with the Verbal Pick Radio. But when we get more information on that, I'm going to let you all know. Verbal Pick Radio, Code Black, a.k.a. Vince Code Muhammad, or Vince Muhammad, or Vince Code Muhammad, a.k.a. Code Black, is all good. And we out.